Hello, welcome to a Championship Sunday edition of the DJ and Vish Show. DJ, how's it going?
It's going good. A busy day today, a busy next 72 hours, quite frankly. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah, DJ's got the Pats too.
I do.
So he's got an exciting time, and the path might have just opened up when Bo Nix won the game and broke his foot at the same time. So
Yeah, that's
that might
yeah,
have
so
that
we
might
had a
have
golden
paved the way.
opportunity. I
That might
feel
have
like.
paved the way for a Patriots appearance in the Super Bowl. Maybe we got to take care of the Texans first, but
Well, it's really weird to think about because at this time last year, the Hurricanes were not in the national championship conversation. The Patriots are 4-13, and now it's a complete reversal of the last year. So it's like, whoa, this is
but
kind of
but
cool. I can get used to this.
but we agreed never to talk about that Syracuse game again, and I'm going to stick with that.
Yeah,
Shout
yeah.
out to some people in the chat, some of our normals, J Rock,
Hey, J Rock.
uh, uh, Lenoris Murray here, and then
We were actually
Wisdom.
late, so you no need.
Yeah, no, we were late, and but I think he's saying so because we dropped this prediction here. Love it.
Ah,
Miami 40, India
okay,
20.
okay.
Defense wins championships. I agree. We're gonna get into that. First, let's get into our good friends at if I can find the stupid clip thing 305 800 pain. After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305 800 pain, you get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they're a brand you can trust. Much like Five Reasons Cane's 305 800 pain is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305 800 pain. The number is the brand 305 800 pain. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada a 305 800 pain, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación de A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305 800 pain tiene mucho en común con los 5 razones Keynes. Están enfocadas en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y el Florida del Sur. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidentes de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305 800 pain. El número es el nombre de la marca, 305 800 pain. Definitely check out our sponsors. They've been with us most of the season, and we are headed to a championship over here. But DJ, how are you feeling? We're about what 36 hours or so from stuff getting very serious. How are you feeling the day before the biggest game the Canes have played in several decades?
I'm feeling confident, but I'm also feeling a cautious optimism at the same time. I'm not going to be like, yeah, the Canes are going to roll and, it's going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be. But I feel like Miami can not only hang in this game, but, maybe come out with a win. And again, I say maybe because I'm not trying to count my chickens before they hatch. But I do feel confident in this team, and I don't think it's going to be a blowout either way. I feel like it's going to be a really good game, and both teams are going to come to play. And like I said in last week's show, miss me with the they're not that good, or the Canes aren't that good, the Hoosiers aren't that good, blah blah blah. They're both in the national championship game. They're pretty damn good.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think one of the it's so I think obviously Indiana's not lost a game all year, and the Canes have now won 7 in a row, 3 in the playoffs, and these are, to your point, these are teams, and then Indiana, if you look at their last several games, it was Ohio State and then 2 playoff games. Like, these are 2 teams that have won their way into this position by winning impressive games repeatedly. So I think for us, we haven't been here in a couple of decades. Indiana's never been here. I think that's where the skepticism is. If you slapped if this said Alabama versus Ohio State instead of Miami versus Indiana, be like, this is the greatest game. Look at these 2 teams they're played. So instead, it's like, oh, they really even good. And so I think both these teams, if you look at their resumes, are really impressive. A lot of quality wins. I believe we're 7-0 against the top 10 or some crap in our last. And then I see Indiana has not lost a game. So yeah, these are 2 teams that I think clearly established themselves as the 2 best over the last couple of months. And this almost feels like inevitable they're going to run into each other now. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I actually don't, and we're going to obviously unpack a lot here. I don't think it's going to be close. And what I mean by that is I want to get your take on this. So it could be close just because of nerves and everyone's kind of just like very playing like conservatively and like it's low scoring. That's one only way I see it being close because I did complete my way too much analysis on Indiana. They gave me too much time to prep for this game. And one of the things I noticed, and it kind of then I checked the cross checks with the statistics, and it definitely like came out. They kill you when you make mistakes. They force a lot of turnovers. They don't make penalties. And when the opponent turns it over and makes penalties, they kill you. And a lot of their lopsided victories, um, you see that like, oh, this other team turned it over. Like, I mean, the Oregon game was an extreme example of that, but you see that. But when the other team doesn't do those things, they end up in tight games. They don't really like. They're not LSU from a few years ago where they're just going to throw a touchdown and play and blow you off the field in that way.
That was just ridiculous. That seems crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah.
capitalize on the other team's mistakes and step on you, and then they don't let up, and it's just they overwhelm you in that way. So to me, this is but I do think Miami's best game is better than anything Indiana can do. Now, we don't always get Miami's best game, and I think we consistently get Indiana's best game. Like they don't make mistakes, they don't drop passes, they don't make penalties, they don't turn the ball over. And you can see when Miami doesn't do those things, they completely dominate Ohio State. When they do those things, they end up in a fist fight with Ole Miss because they've dropped 4 interceptions and made 57 million penalties. It's like, why is this game like this right now? It's because
57 million is a low number, Vish. Come on,
I mean, David Blake already jumped off sides. Just go ahead and just start the game 1st and 5, and let's get it out of the way. If you're Indiana.
Yeah, let's do it.
But so again, I said the stats back this up. So this is what I'm gonna throw to you. This is why I think it's not going to really be that close. I think if the Canes do those sorts of things, if they turn the ball over, if they make a bunch of penalties, I think Indiana will cover that 8.5 spread. And I think if they don't, I think they're better. I think they can control the game the way they did against Ohio State. Now, statistically, this probably bears out. Indiana's first in the country in turnover margin. They are 5th in fewest penalty yards. The Canes are 122nd in penalty yards. Wow. So that is to me like the biggest thing. If the Canes play a clean game, which they did against A&M, did against Ohio State, did not against Ole Miss, and did not a lot of the season, to be honest. That's why they're 122nd. But they play a clean game. They don't turn the ball over. That is kind of what Indiana thrives on.
Yeah, and not even, to me, I think it's the penalties that are going to play a big factor in this game, because if you had asked me, even 3 months ago, what's the most concerning thing, I would say the turnovers. But, and we've talked about this, over the last 2 months or so, they've really kind of cleaned up the big play turnovers, the tight window interceptions, the Hail Mary balls, the 50 yards in one, pass plays, and they've narrowed it down to easier, simpler throws. The penalties, I mean, that's not going to go away at all. I mean, we've seen it all season, so I'm not worried about turnovers in this game per se, so much as self-inflicted stupid penalties, because we seem to be really good at doing those. With that being said, I feel like, those stats can even be a little bit misleading, because I feel like we've cleaned up, even the penalties. I felt like, the last game against Ole Miss was, kind of an anomaly to the rest of the playoff slate. I thought we were really good in penalties against Texas A&M, and I thought we were really good in penalties with Ohio State. The Ole Miss game kind of came out of nowhere. And so, if we can kind of have a repeat of the Ole Miss and Ohio State games in terms of penalties, then I'll feel a lot better. If we have what we saw against Ole Miss, that's where I think it could really hurt us, because at this point, I trust Carson Beck to, have a much cleaner game with the football. I'm not as concerned about the interceptions.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's being very careful with it, right? And then he showed at the end of the Ole Miss game, he was able to ratchet it up and fire it in there into coverage when he had to win the game. So, yeah, but he's being careful. That's actually why one of the things I do, well, we'll talk about this in a minute, but just to finish this other point, I think part of it is the Canes played cleaner. David Blake did jump off sides against Ohio State. Was that the only penalty? Or against one of those games, A&M he did.
I think A&M, yeah.
A&M he did. Ohio State, we didn't have a enforced penalty. There was the one holding on Chase Smith on the Jeremiah Smith touchdown, which they obviously declined. And then A&M, there's only a few penalties. Part of it, I think, is also the officiating, though. They're letting a lot go in those games. The Ole Miss officials did not. They call penalties on Ole Miss, too. It wasn't like it was one-sided against us. Now, when you do stuff like false start, like Inez did twice on that one possession, or jump off sides, those are automatics. So we definitely play cleaner because those ones, doesn't matter if there's a tight whistle or loose whistle. If you do that, it's called. So we definitely had the pre-snaps, which it doesn't matter who the officials are, you're going to get called if you do those. But I think a lot of the other stuff, I think towards the second half of the Ole Miss game, they started throwing more flags, calling more pass interferences. I don't know. So I know obviously Indiana's a low penalty team, but I do actually like our receivers matched up against their DBs. And I like our D line matched up against their O line from a pass rushing standpoint, especially. And I did read somewhere, I can't remember where, that we're going to get the same refs from the A&M game, actually.
So that bodes well.
I do wonder though. So this is where I'm a little torn. If they actually call it fair, I don't know that refs that are if they're going to call it fair, I don't know that refs that are like kind of letting everything go is our benefit, because one of the things that would benefit us greatly is if they correctly call holding. Because I do think it hurts us quite a bit that they allow offensive linemen to hold Bain and Mesidor. And when they're calling holding, it helps us a lot just because they can't do that. So I don't know. I'd rather, I guess, in the macro sense, to your point, I think it does help us because, Indiana's used to not making penalties. If we're also not, then advantage us. But I hope, if Bain and Mesner are getting held repeatedly, that they actually call it this time, because I do think Ole Miss got away with quite a bit there, and it did hurt our pass rush.
I agree, but I think also too, even if they don't call holding, any officiating crew for the Big Ten or ACC, excuse me, is probably a good thing. SEC refs tend to let a lot of stuff go too, but I do notice that they're more prone to calling the holding penalties. So hopefully, regardless of the conference, they call it on Monday, because if they do, then I think that's a good thing for Miami.
No, it is. I think the other thing, though, regardless of that, is the Canes have to, very important they maintain their gap discipline on these pass rushes. Mendoza's a threat to scramble. He makes plays with his legs, and you got to keep him in the pocket and keep him contained.
Yeah, and he can do it quickly too. He makes quick decisions with the football, whether it be throwing it or running it. He doesn't hesitate and kind of sit back in the pocket and wait. He either throws it, doesn't, or runs with it. So, I think the defense has to be prepared for a quick decision maker, at the quarterback position in Mendoza. And we talked about it on Monday. It kind of lines up with their entire offense, because Indiana's offense, relies on timing, and it's very like, like a factory type of thing where you go to the assembly line, quarterback does this, wide receivers do this, and together they make an entire offensive unit. And they're very in sync with each other, and it goes back to that quick decision making. It starts with Mendoza.
Yeah, it does, and that's where the Canes need to be disruptive defensively, and get them off of their comfort zone. Again, there have been large periods of games where teams have been. Iowa's able to do that. Penn State was able to do that. It's not. I think there's a little bit of a recency bias with the last two games that have turned this Indiana team into, a juggernaut. Again, they're undefeated and they've got several high-profile wins, so they're a great team. But I think this whole unbeatable thing, it's kind of like, I can't believe they did it to Oregon, and Oregon imploded. So, full credit to Indiana for taking advantage of that, but I mean, obviously, if we do what Oregon did, we're going to get killed. but if we don't, I don't know. We'll see. Indiana's not been. I think the most they've been down was 7 points this year, briefly. So they haven't been down So it'll be interesting to see what happens if they are like actually down for a significant point. Even that Penn State game, everyone knows they made the last minute drive. That was the first time they trailed in that game was when Penn State scored in the previous possession. So they've been very kind of front running, and they're very good at that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if the Canes actually, jump out in front to first, and then and see how Indiana responds to that. Because they have not had to deal with that. They have been very much a front running team.
Agreed, and I think that's a credit to them too. And I'm hoping that Miami will be able to get started quickly offensively, because several times this season, and even I can't remember, I believe in the Ole Miss game they started off a little bit slow as well, but at times this season they have started slowly, and they can't afford to do that against this Indiana team.
See, this is let's shout some people in the chat because they're all scrolling by. Shout out to Fresh. Shout out to Martin from Botswana.
Yeah.
I said J Rock, Orange and Green Blood, always a regular with us. What's up, man? Got Kane Lake. And Geo Kane as well. I want to hone on Geo Kane's comment, because one of the things that I've found pretty surprising, I feel like everyone's ignoring the fact that Miami's playing at home. To me, that's a pretty big deal. And I feel like it's kind of just being glossed over. I get that the ticket distribution is neutral, and it's technically a neutral site game, but you got to think there's got to be some advantage to playing in your home stadium.
Somewhat. I mean, it is really cool that Miami is playing at home. I mean, I don't think, in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever seen that. And I know you have, Vish, but
well, no, I'm not that old.
Well,
the last few championships, the one I remember, because I was alive for some, but I wasn't
alive. I shouldn't have said seen. Alive.
The one I remember was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. So I mean, I do think that is slightly an advantage, but I don't necessarily think, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, I'm just saying in general, that it's going to be a Miami takeover. So I really
it's not going to be. It's not going to be. I think it's going to be probably closer to 50-50. But, like, for example, practicing at your own facilities, taking your normal game day travel to the stadium routine, even little things like for the kicking game, like being comfortable kicking in that stadium, all of those things, they can matter at the margins. It's not going to decide the game.
No.
But it's a slight, I would say it's very slight advantage. But I guess people are just completely ignoring it, where I feel like part of the reason is, again, Indiana fans travel. They're all over the place here. And so they are probably going to be about 50-50 in the stadium. I was looking at, there's an analysis, I think SeatGeek did, of where, the resale tickets were being purchased. I think it was something like mid-30s to Miami. I think between 10 and 15% Indiana, 10 and 15% like Illinois and some of the neighboring states to Indiana, which are probably Indiana people as well. So, it's about 35% Canes, 25% Indiana on the resale, but you're probably going to have about 50-50 around there. It's not going to be a big like crowd advantage in that sense, but everything else is very comfortable for the Canes. And I think one of the things that tends to happen in these championship games, is why you often see them lopsided score-wise, is the team that's able to settle in and just play football versus like dealing with the kind of the nerves. The one that's able to do that earlier has an advantage. And I think this helps with that more than anything else. I mean, you saw it against Ohio State, right? You could tell both teams were nervous. Those first two offensive drives were cataclysmic. I mean, Carson Beck spiked a couple of passes, and then like Julian Sain froze up and got sacked by half the team, and the offensive line wasn't sure to block. But then both teams settled in. You start to see kind of, okay, they're running normal offense now. So, this is going to be that escalated because it's the championship game. And so I think both teams will be obviously nervous. It's different. You can say like it's just playing football. It's not going to be that.
No.
There's going to
no.
But I do think it does help when you're, okay, we're at home, same stadium I played in a million times. This is all comfortable for us. I do think it helps a little bit in that sense.
For sure. I don't think it's necessarily a major home field advantage. Like you said, I think it's going to be, maybe between the margins where we'll see more of an impact. But it is definitely nice to play at home, and I just think that people are focusing, and rightly so, on the caliber of these two teams and not necessarily the nuances of the game itself. And there's a lot to like about these two programs, and there's a lot of intriguing matchups and subplots within the game, just apart from the home field advantage.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess my point was more like I don't really see people really even mentioning it anymore. So,
Oh no, yeah, no,
it's kind of a big deal that they're playing it
I
on.
totally get what you're saying, and it kind of is a big deal, and it has been glossed over, which is weird because it seems like we've had like 3 months of media coverage since the last game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's been a while. Enough time for me to way overanalyze this game, but shout out to Martin referencing the '93 Sugar Bowl, which the '92 season the Canes were undefeated, defending national champs, going into a Sugar Bowl heavily favored with Gino Toretto, the Heisman winner at quarterback, and yeah, did not go our way on the day. Let's just put it that way. Kind of got blown off the field. The other thing though, they're a crowd that's more close to 50-50. It's an advantage for Miami. We're used to not. We haven't played a game in front of a home crowd. Keep in mind, remember, it was the NC State game because at Virginia Tech, at Pitt, at A&M, majority Ohio State fans, majority Ole Miss fans. I mean, getting to 50-50, it's been a long time since the Canes have had any kind of real like home level support. So
let's see when Indiana's last home game was, just for measurement purposes. Let's see.
Yeah, but I think one of the differences is I think did they blow up Purdue, or was that on the road? I know they blew up Purdue, but I thought that might have been. I don't know if that was at home or not.
I'm looking right now, but let's see. No, anyway, you can keep talking while I look.
Yeah, no, I think the reason it's a little bit different is Indiana took over the Rose Bowl. They took over the whatever it's called now, Mercedes-Benz Dome.
November 28th, Purdue, yeah.
Yeah, but then they also like their two bowl games, they had way more fans in Los Angeles and Pasadena at the Rose Bowl than Alabama. And did Oregon have a single fan in the stands in the Peach Bowl? If you watch that game,
that's a long trip.
That was a sea of red. I mean, I'm joking. They obviously had some fans there, but that was got to be 75-80% Indiana fans in that game. So it's different. And look, this is part of this is the nature of the our fan bases. We don't have a large alumni base. Indiana is the largest in the country, so we're used to when we go to quote neutral site games. We know there's going to be more fans for their teams. There always have been. I've been going to games for decades now. It's always we're outnumbered. We expect it. When we blew out Nebraska in the Rose Bowl, we were outnumbered. That's just always the case. So kind of getting closer to square on that is actually very nice for a program that usually, if it's not a home game, we don't have more fans. So that'll be nice. I have not heard about the locker room situation. That would be odd to me just because, so the Canes have their locker room at Hard Rock and the Dolphins also have a locker room there. So my assumption is each team would use one of those. I don't know if I don't know. And
knowing Kurt Cignetti like I do, I really don't think he gives a shit.
I don't think he does either. I don't know. It might not even be. I don't know how they assign what. I guess I could have asked someone because I do have press access, but I mean,
and I could be wrong, but Cignetti doesn't strike me as the type of guy that really cares about that stuff.
No, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know if they get to choose these types of things. Usually everything just gets assigned. Like if you look at everything else that, again, if you're in South Florida and you go around town, you'll see like, Indiana banners up and Miami banners up, and like everything is very orchestrated. Yeah, exactly. There's more than two locker rooms too. There's a road locker room. There's the Canes locker room. There's a Dolphins locker room. So generally, we use the Canes when the Dolphins use theirs, and the road team uses the road one. I assume for the bowl game, someone use the Canes one, someone use the would use the Dolphins one. So they're both like kind of the nicer ones. I don't. First of all, it doesn't matter. But second of all, everything in a bowl game is pre-assigned. Like you could have looked a month ago and they would have said, Peach Bowl champion, this is your side of the field. This is where your thing sit. This is it. And then Fiesta Bowl champion, this is where you sit and all that. So like there's not really a lot of you know, I guess in theoretically, if both teams agreed, hey, you want to switch, then they could do something. But almost everything from the hotels that the teams are staying at, like they know months in advance the Peach Bowl champion will be staying at this hotel.
Yeah.
So
I guarantee
usually
locker rooms.
Yeah, usually the teams don't get discretion about any of that. It's all just pre-assigned. They tell you what side of the field you're on. They tell you, you know, what hotel you're staying in and all of that stuff, because they have to obviously block everything way in advance, and they kind of allot stuff to the champions of the 2 semifinal bowls.
Honestly, they probably don't even want to deal with that stuff. So me and Cristobal are probably just like, let's just focus on the game, let everybody else handle all the nuances of. That's my favorite word of the day: nuances of the game. Yeah.
Again, I haven't heard anything about that, but it's not about letting, because again, the bowl would have assigned it. Like they don't say, Indiana, which locker room do you want to use? They assign it. So
I feel like that's just like fuel to make Miami Hurricanes fans hate Indiana more.
If Indiana is using the Canes locker room, it's because the CFP committee said the Peach Bowl champion gets this stadium. So I don't think anyone on either sidelines really worried about shit like that. So
no. But
I'm not sure either. I don't know where they're gonna put the band. We are largely on the other side of the field. We're on the other sideline. That's where our team is sitting. So we're used to.
You guys have a good view. Like, do you, Vish, have a good view and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my people are split all over the place. So some better than others. The good thing with that stadium is you can see from anywhere. So there's no like, it's not that like that. I guess expansive in the sense that like if you're, for example, if you're sitting in the top row at like the Cowboys stadium, you can't see anything.
You feel like you're in the nose.
There's nothing like that. They when they renovated the stadium, they actually moved all the stands in closer. That was one of the big changes they made when they put the roof on and redid the seats. They actually took part of the sideline and moved it in, so everything would be more enclosed. So it's actually a really good stadium to watch a football game. So
you don't have
really
poles in the way like Fenway?
No poles in the way. And then anywhere you're sitting, you'll get a view. So it is, so you're there's not really exactly. There's really not bad seating at Hard Rock because of the renovation. There used to be the renovations. They made part of it little history on it, because the Marlins used to play there. They had a wider sideline area because of the foul area. the foul area, and then once the Marlins left, they were able to we don't need to have this wide.
It
was actually one of the better, but because of the way it was designed, it wasn't great for football, but for dual purpose, it was one of the better ones, because they made it wide enough, the seats far enough away where you could put the baseball diamond in the corner and so it looked like a normal, like if you look at old Marlins games there, it did look like a normal baseball field versus a lot of those dual purpose ones. It looks kind of funky, and it did look, but for football that did pull the stands back. But so part of the renovation actually moved everything closer. So the sidelines aren't nearly as wide as they used to be, and all the seats are closer, and the pitch, they made it more upright. So you can see from anywhere.
I'm definitely gonna have to make my way down there one of these days.
I mean, you come, we'll just go. We'll splurge and get you in the club section.
Ooh, a club section. That's well. I just had to put my hoodie up because I'm cold. This is a Melissa special sweatshirt.
Yeah, that is the Hoodie Girl collection, available at About the Fans. Go to aboutthefans.com, search Hoodie Girl. There's 4 hoodies available. Then that is the zip up, probably the most popular one. It's easy to
very comfortable. Very comfortable.
That is the zip up hoodie, but definitely get yourself a hoodie over there, and use the code HG10. You'll get 10% off. Anyway, so that's aboutthefans.com if you want the hoodie DJ's wearing. There's also 3 other ones over there. That is Melissa's hoodie collection. I actually took one of Melissa's tickets. That's where I'm sitting. So shout out to her
for everything.
So shout out to Melissa for getting me I would have thrown someone else out of we had to Tetris everything. Just the way the ticket request goes. We got all the people we need to into the stadium. But not all sitting together. So unfortunately, but we are.
Just as long as Warren Sapp didn't get his. You can't carry Louis Vuitton bags with Dion and then demand access to Miami Hurricanes national championship game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the field actually there's a time lapse of them prep, like, you know, pulling the grass off, resodding it, and making it. And it looks great. It looks fantastic. See, looking through these comments. Yeah, I don't know where they're gonna put the band. Like, the kids can choose where to put them. I wonder if they're gonna. So if you go to our home games and you see where the band sits, they are kind of spread out. I do wonder if they squeeze them in more to like have more actual people in the, because they take a whole like section. They're kind of spread out in there. I wonder if they're squeezed in a little bit more. Let's see what else we got here. I mean, I think this is what the coaches would think too. They don't care what locker room, and I don't think either team does either.
No, it's just fuel for each fan base to rile each other up even more.
Yep, it doesn't matter. I mean, if it actually mattered, you know, we would never lose at home, and Lord knows we have. I've walked out of that stadium disappointed many a times, but as Lador said,
yeah,
Monday is not going to be one of those days. It's not going to be one of those days.
Yeah, but I agree with the sentiment
for sure. Yeah. One of the other things I wanted to discuss, I do see all this portal talk going. We will talk about quarterback, obviously, with some news on Friday, but we'll kind of end with that. So I probably spent way too much time like rewatching stuff, but I will obviously, like, I feel like in Canes media, Carson Beck's biggest supporter this year. But
yes, you have.
His deep ball has not been good in the postseason. There were a couple of shots he could have hit. Even on the next to last touchdown drive, when, you know, there's pass interference and Marion got dragged down. Like, if he leads him, it's probably a touchdown. He missed a shot early to Malachi in the Fiesta Bowl. The A&M game I'm gonna flush just because of the wind, but I feel like he's not been as accurate. I think part of it's probably him being a little bit more careful with the ball and making sure it doesn't get picked. But he is gonna need to hit those shots. See Glenn's face in the background. I got people in the house, but anyway, he's going to need to hit those shots, I think, in this game when the opportunities present themselves. I think that's one area where we're going to need him to be a little bit better. He's been very accurate in the short intermediary game. He's been really on fire there. But some of his deep balls, I feel like it weren't terrible. He hasn't made a terrible pass yet. We're like, what the hell was that? But you know, there's someone I was like, man, if he threw a perfect pass there, that's a hit, and instead it's not. And so I do think he's going to need to hit some of those.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to need, like, you know, 10 or 15 a game. I don't think he's going to need to 10 or 15 tomorrow. Maybe like 4 or 5. I don't think they're going to need the big play in order to beat Indiana, but I would like him to have the deep ball in his bag of tricks, so to speak. Like you said, he's kind of been a little bit inaccurate. With that being said, with those deep throws, he hasn't really thrown the ball to where it could be put in harm's way. So in that respect, I kind of like how he's been throwing it, because it's not been, you know, a high risk throw in the sense that it could be intercepted quickly, unlike, you know, his throws from like 3 months ago or so. But with that being said, I don't think he'll need a ton of deep ball throws. You know, like I said, maybe 5 or 6, but I think that's definitely something to watch coming into Monday.
Yeah, no, and yeah, Kenty says hopefully if he goes deep, he connects. Yeah, I mean, I do think, you know, DJ just made this point, but yeah, he is being a little bit careful. He's erring on the side of overthrowing it away from the defender too, to avoid getting picked. Yeah, let's see if we can drop a couple of the breadbasket. Obviously, you know, he hit the deep ball to Marion, but if someone's that open, he'll hit him like that. I'm not worried about him missing someone as a coverage bust and someone 10 yards behind the defense. It's more those he's got like a half step. I do think he's being a little bit safe with those throws, and just I'm going to throw it a little bit further and then, you know, hopefully get it caught. Otherwise, it's incomplete. Where yeah, we'll see. That's the one thing where I'm hoping if the opportunity comes through. he'll seize the day. I guess the last kind of football related thing, I guess game related thing. This is all football related, but and then we'll talk portal a little bit. The the defense. So we did get the injury report. Actually, we should talk overall about the injury report. So I think the highlights there are OJ Frederick not listed. He obviously played a little bit at the beginning of Ole Miss and then came out. He stays 100%. He was obviously doing all the media interviews. Damari Brown listed as questionable. He's been that way the whole playoffs. And then the other big one is Elijah Lofton out. So he will not be suiting up. Those are the kind of the three highlights. I guess what are your thoughts on the impacts there?
I mean, Elijah Lofton, I think he's played better later in the season. As far as the other two are concerned, it's hard for me to say that they're major, that those are major kind of impact type of things, but we'll see how this plays out. They are something to watch, but I wouldn't necessarily think that the sky is falling over them.
At this point, I don't expect Damari to play. He's been out for a while now, and they keep listing him as questionable or probably never actually plays. So I don't think he'll play. Obviously, Xavier Lucas being suspended for the first half, makes this a little bit more urgent.
Yeah.
So I do think we're going to see a lot of Jabari Anton in the first half. We'll see how he holds up.
He did okay. And
he was okay. Yeah, he did fine against Ole Miss.
He had to cover Jeremiah.
I mean that again was not exactly a fair assignment there. So him locked up with Jeremiah Smith. And Martin says as long as OJ is fine and Moten, then we should be okay. I will see how the exactly. Everyone's got to step up and play their A game. Yeah, they do throw to their tight end quite a bit, Nowakowski, so got to make sure we have him
covered.
covered.
Big Ten football as well, right there. The tight end play, love it.
Yeah, and again, the Canes do not have depth at tight end. That's where Lofton hurts as much as anything. Because he was a little bit. We talked about this a lot this year, right? He's a little bit in between. He's not like a pure tight end. He's more of an H-back type, and he can do a lot of interesting things.
And they didn't utilize him right, so I'm like, as much as it sucks him being out, like how big of a loss in the game?
It's a big loss because he's very good blocking those short yards where we like to put in heavy. Like he is good catching the ball. He got injured making a great catch over the middle, getting lit up. I've seen Bauman drop that pass multiple times this year. Lofton catches it. And then again, I don't recall Luka Gilbert playing that much this year, and now he's next man up. So I think you're pretty exposed there. I think our base offense, you'll be okay because again, you have Bauman, who's the starting tight end. You're not going to be able to run some of the stuff we run where we have them both on the field together. But really, the biggest thing is if anything happens to Bauman or if you want to go two tight ends, now you get Luka Gilbert taking snaps, and he again has not really done a lot of that this year. So, that's to me, that's the concern, is more the depth than anything else. I do think Lofton could have been a weapon in this game, so it sucks, but the depth I think is where there's probably a little bit more of an issue now, especially if something happens with Bauman.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Sure, I'm just. I'm happy that Lofton got more involved in the game plan as the season went on, but I just wish they utilized him more overall and utilized him correctly.
Yeah, and then as the sun went down outside and got overcast, now I look like I'm on an FBI film, blacked out. But anyway, should turn the light. It was right here when the show started. I should have turned the light on, and now the sun, I can tell there's overcast outside the window, and so now there's no light coming in. I have blacked out over here, but I think Martin's. I think this is a game where, I think this is a game where you're going to run the football. And Pons is not the only one undersized on their defense. Their whole defense is kind of undersized, and they've held up really well all year. But that's gonna be the opening salvo of this game, right? They know we're gonna run at them. We know we're gonna run at them. We know our offensive line severely outweighs them. Their secondary is also undersized. They know we're bigger than them. We're gonna try to push them around. Other teams have tried that all year and not been able to. So every single team that's played Indiana has let them in like they are tiny. We're gonna knock them out of the way, and then they can't. So that's gonna be the opening part of the game. Is gonna be us trying to do that, and we've never not been able to do that. So something's going to give pretty quickly there. If you see, Fletch getting 5-6 yards of carry early, like he did against Ole Miss, like he did against Ohio State, like he did against A&M, except we didn't run the ball until the second half for some reason. If you see that happening, that's a great sign for the Hurricanes, because every single team that's looked at Indiana this year said they are undersized up front. We can own them up front and push them out of the way, and has not been able to. So Indiana's not actually dealt with a team that's taken advantage of their undersized. So we'll see. Yeah, no, this is for sure true. Our receivers are the best in the country at blocking. Every single one of them gets, and in fact, JoJo's obviously not had the year he wanted. And had another big drop against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
If you want to know why he keeps getting on the field, watch that man block. He gets after it. He puts people on their ass. Watch that man block. If you want to know why he keeps getting snaps, ironically, the big play threat that was supposed to be the all-everything receiver, his best asset this year has been he will take the DB and move him out of the way.
As the old saying goes, no block, no rock. And he can block, so he still has an opportunity to get the rock if need be.
Yeah.
He has been really good.
Yeah, no, he's really good blocking. Josh Moore got in there. I thought Josh Moore's not on the injury report. I think JoJo's getting playing time because he's blocking so well. I mean, look, our top three, vast majority of the time, you're going to get Keelan Marion, CJ Daniels, Malachi Toney. Those are, and then a tight end. Those are your four out, running back, quarterback, and then lineman. Like, that is our base set. We start rotating, and I think JoJo's blocking has gotten him a little bit moved up the depth chart. So he's rotating in a little bit more than Josh Moore. Josh Moore's still playing, but we don't really throw. We threw one to JoJo, he dropped. We don't really, frankly, when those guys are on the field, we're not really throwing to them. Everything goes to Malachi, Toney, and Marion. Malachi, Toney, Keelan Marion, and CJ Daniels. Like, those are where the balls are going.
Yeah. Which I'm hoping maybe Monday, and I know they've been sure-handed and all that. I would love to see more of the receivers get involved, because I'm wondering if Indiana's looking at their game plan and saying, like, hey, they throw to these guys. Let's focus on them and put all of our attention on them. And I get you don't want to mix it up because they've been so steady for you all year, but I'm wondering if we see more people get involved in the receiving game.
Yeah, and then to your point, and that's why I had the tight end as the X factor coming into this, just to I do think there is there is a potential for him to get open, Bauman, and make some plays. I am going to DJ. I'll give you the floor to talk tight ends while I fix the lighting in here, because I'll be right back in 2 seconds. I am listening.
So for the tight ends, it's really interesting because Indiana has, a ton of really good wide receivers in Cooper and Surratt, and even, Charlie Becker is a solid wide receiver there too. But at the same time, they can also, get production from Riley Nowakowski. He had 30 catches for 370 yards and a couple touchdowns. And one of the things that Indiana's tight ends do really well, in addition to just receiving, is also blocking. And they're a huge part of what the Hoosiers do in the running game and things like that. As far as their threat in the passing game is concerned, I wouldn't be overly worried. I think a lot of Indiana's wide receiver, a lot of the production will go to Indiana's wide receivers. I would especially watch Surratt, because it seems like him and Mendoza have a strong rapport. Surratt's very good, especially on those back shoulder fade throws, and Mendoza loves throwing those passes. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about Indiana's tight ends too much. With that being said, it's not like they're just stiffs and can't catch and run with the football when it's thrown their way. Nowakowski in particular, it can, make plays happen. But I wouldn't necessarily worry about them too much. as a threat to Indiana's offense. I would worry more about Cooper and Surratt.
Yeah, no, they're definitely a receiver-heavy team. I saw that comment earlier too about making sure our linebackers aren't great in coverage. Indiana hasn't really exploited that much, so we'll see. Yeah, no, this is why I picked us to win by 17 points. I do think we are bigger, faster, stronger than them. I've watched way too much film on this to top myself into that position, but I do. That's what I saw too. They do not, for a team that, again, full credit to them, they're whatever 14-0 or whatever they are, and beat Ohio State, beat Oregon twice, killed a bunch of teams, like put up 63 on Illinois. For all of that, when you actually watch them play, that doesn't jump. They don't jump out to you as like, wow, this team is unbeatable. Whoa, they're just killing people. It's more like they capitalize on mistakes, they step on your throat, and then they are very good at front running. Because I think when teams fall behind, they start taking more risks, and Indiana punishes that. So they're very elite at certain things, but they are elite at things that the Canes can take away just by controlling the way they play and playing clean and being disciplined and effectively. And shout out to Chris LeClaire, just hopped in. He's got Miami winning 48-35. That was very high scoring. And I just said, to piggyback on what Orange and Green Blood saying here, yeah, no, Fletch has been eating rushing yards, and that is actually how you take Indiana out of their game. If you can run, and this is why we get frustrated when Miami's working the running game, then we call a wildcat to Malachi or double reverse pass, and it's like, just keep running the ball.
Knows it's coming. It's not.
Yeah, but also just keep running the ball, because it's low risk. It's low risk to run the ball. If you're getting chunks out of it, 4 or 5 yards of carry, you're going to keep getting first downs. It wears the defense out, and it inoculates you from a lot of the mistakes that Indiana capitalizes on. So to me, yeah, Fletch is averaging 140 yards per game. He's running over everyone. Marty Brown's been really good too. Just lean on the running game, make them stop it. Again, they've been able to do that this year. They're, I think, number 2 rush defense in the country, but that's the ball game, right? You shove them out of the way, and you take away their strength, and then the game's over.
If you want to beat Indiana, play a Big Ten style game, right?
Yep, they're second in rush defense, 23rd in pass defense, 4th in total defense. But again, they have not faced a offensive line. No one's faced an offensive line like that. And I think one of the interesting things, and I think one of the reasons we get overlooked, even at this stage, is I don't think our offensive line for a lot of this year dominated as much as they should have. So if you look at our rushing stats, they're not where they should be for the year. As Orange and Green Blood points out, Fletch is averaging 140 yards per game in the playoffs against 3 top 10 teams. And yet, you're playing SMU and you're not running over them. You're playing, you're even like, NC State, we were stuck in the mud until Pringle came in and made some longer runs. Like, I feel like the offensive line had the ability to be the best in the country all year, but didn't always play like it. It was inconsistent kind of domination from them. But what we've seen the last month, and really, probably going back to like the Pitt and Virginia Tech games, is they have been, playing up to their potential. And so I think one of the reasons people are kind of overlooking that, like number 2 run defense, I think we're in the 50s in rush offense or something. Like, well, Indiana's going to shut them down. I don't think so. I think we're going to shove them out of the way. We shove everyone out of the way when we really focus on it and just like, we're going to own this line of scrimmage. We do. And until first of all, thanks Lenores for positive comments at this point. Let's see if their little defense does actually hold up against Markel Bell is a large human being. and there's different levels of large. So let's see.
I don't know if they're gonna shove them out of the way, but I think they are going to slowly break them. Like, I don't think it's gonna be like blow them off the ball every single play, but I do think it's gonna be like give, and then there's gonna be 2 or 3 big runs that really kind of seal the deal for Miami. I think it's going to be more of a slow burn than just a physical domination. But I think, the 2 or 3 yard gains throughout the course of the game will lead to like key plays that will help Miami win this game.
Yeah, and actually, this is a great stat poll for Orange and Green Blood. So this is kind of the point I was making. How do you get 18% better running the ball in the playoffs?
Because you,
when you lock in, when this offensive line locks in and is like, we're going to bully, as Randy Chambers said, bully the bullies, and they were like, we're going to go do this, they will knock anyone out of the way. And they've shown that in the playoffs when it's like, I think, honestly, like a lot of the regular season was us screwing around.
Yes, I was just about to say that. Yeah.
And I'm not even talking necessarily SMU, Louisville. Like Florida, we could have beat by 60. Same with Florida State. We kind of just, screwed around a little bit, got kids. Yeah. We weren't. I think when the shit got really serious in these playoffs, they're like, we don't have, and as much as, yes, I agree, this stuff.
I definitely agree.
I agree with that. As much as that's like been an issue, certainly in the playoffs, we've all seen like, why'd you call that at that time? In the regular season, I think it was worse. It wasn't the trick plays, but it was we're not going to stick to the running game. A lot more throwing when we didn't need to. And I think when we got to the playoffs,
sexy football, and it doesn't need to be sexy.
Well, I think whether they admit it or not, I think in the back of their head, when you're in the regular season, you're thinking, we don't just need to win. We need style points because we got to get ranked higher. It's a completely different feeling when you're in playoffs. Like, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 or by 100. Just get off the field with the win. You move to the next round.
Margin of victory.
And I think when it got to that stage of the season, I think that is when they're like, let's just run the ball. That's what we do well. And we can't afford to screw around against these types of teams. They'll never admit it, but guarantee you they want that Louisville game plan back and just run the damn ball instead of having Carson Beck take deep shots left and right. Like, I mean, but they didn't think didn't feel like Louisville was that big of a threat. And whether that was obviously wrong, Louisville came into our house and beat us. But I do think when it got serious, like, okay, these teams are, as good or near as good, same category as us. We don't have time to screw around. We got to run our best stuff, and that's running the ball. And I think you've seen them dedicate more to that in the postseason. Yeah, no, this is. I don't think they're going to blow them up the ball. We're not playing like Bethune-Cookman, but I do think they can consistently win the line of scrimmage.
We're not playing Middle Tennessee State here.
Let's not bring up old stuff. Thank God we're not playing Middle Tennessee State. Damn, man. I don't want to see that school ever again. So if we win the toss, it's 100% you defer to the second half, and then the other team takes the ball. That's the move. I get what you're saying to come out here and try and establish something early, but I mean the reason every team defers is you can steal an extra possession, which is huge. It's almost like a turnover because the way that, again, not to get nerdy on this, but the way the possessions work are if the team that received the ball first gets the last possession of the first half, they get the first possession of the second half. So they're now gotten one extra possession because, just back and forth, one possession. So that's the best case scenario. You get an extra possession, and the whole rest of the game, you've had the ball one more time than the other team every time you get the ball. If the team that got the kickoff to start the game has the ball last, it's just even then because the other team gets the ball to start the second half, and now you're even. So there's really no downside to deferring. Right. I was shocked Ole Miss took the ball. It did actually put us in a position to win the game very early, except we dropped that pick six by Dylan Day. But had that one offensive possession where we had the ball up 7 with like a minute and a half left and somehow punting it back to them to kick the field goal. But it did allow us to almost get the ball, double dip there and really put that game away. And that's why you want the ball first in the second half.
And to me, it's not even in this game for both teams, it's not even really about establishing something. It's about just doing what it takes to move the ball down the field and score points. I mean, because establishing something, if you want to set the tone during a regular season game, it's fine. But if you want to, I feel like if you try to establish something, whether it be running the ball or passing the ball, and it's not working, just do what works. Don't necessarily try to establish something. Just take something that has been working and, run with it. Or passes it. No pun intended. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I get the whole establishing point, but just do what works. If running the ball is not working and the physicality is not working, and instead you find that airing it out is working, then do that. I mean, at this stage, just do what works. I feel like there's not necessarily a need to establish an identity to this game, but just go with the flow of the game. And that goes for the play callers too. I mean, if Mallycat's working, then run more Mallycat. If it's not working, don't try it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you to an extent. I think plan A has got to be run the ball up their ass.
Oh, I agree.
If that's working, don't deviate from plan A. If
Right.
that doesn't work, I guess the best case scenario is the Canes come out, physically win both lines of scrimmage, control the game, and win. I mean, that's the best case scenario. That's not the only way they can win. These receivers are really good. The quarterback is excellent. He's playing at a high level. You can win throwing this ball, but that shouldn't be the plan coming in. But to your point, if they're loading up on the box and they're taking the run game away, let Carson roast their ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't think we're going to see any tempo from Miami. I mean, I may be wrong. I think the plan is to wear Indiana out with physicality, not with pace. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe. I mean, Dawson has a lot. I mean, as much as we've criticized some of his maybe going a little bit too deep into the playbook in the playoffs, he has very different styles he's capable of playing. And so he'll have to DJ's point. He'll be ready to make those adjustments if he's seeing something where he thinks it's going to work, he thinks he can catch them. Yeah, we have done that times this year. Run tempo. We've played a lot more open in some games, a lot more run heavy in other games. He will switch styles. He's very adaptable. So I'd be surprised if this is plan A, but if he sees something that he's like, I think tempo will get this team. We've done it before. He's gone all of a sudden we just come out and stop huddling and just boom, 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 boom. So, he'll have all of those at his disposal.
And I think it's interesting, and we talked about this before. Miami kind of runs an offense like a Big Ten team. So I think stylistically these two teams match up very well. And so I don't know if there's necessarily going to be a need to run a certain tempo or something like that to confuse the Indiana defense. I think they can match up pound for pound just based off of the individual styles that they run in a regular set.
No, for sure. But I think the one cool thing for the Canes is they have all these different styles they've played this year. So yeah, he can go to plans B and C. If he thinks tempo will work, he can call it. It's nothing new. We can almost change the style of play without getting out of our comfort zone because Dawson has been very adaptable. Yeah, Wes almost knocked Mendoza out of that game in last year against Cal. Yeah, another thing people are forgetting, we beat this quarterback with the worst defense in the history of mankind. So let's give Heatherman a little credit here. Granted, we had Cam Ward, but still, that quarterback was defeated last year. Let's see what Kate Lake says. First 5 minutes of the game, last 5 minutes of first half, first 5 minutes of second half, last 5 minutes of the game. Whoever controls and wins 3 of those 4 win the championship.
I mean, I definitely agree with that.
That's an astute point.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown. I definitely agree with that because when you look at, again, for those that want to set the tone, first 5 minutes, set the tone early. The minutes before the second half, and this is where I felt there was a shift during the Ohio State game. Miami was able to kind of figure some stuff out towards the end of the second half defensively that kind of messed with Julian Saint's head a little bit. And then when you talk about the Ole Miss game and the key drives that the Miami offense made to battle back and forth, and it was a shootout towards the end, but Miami won that individual battle. I mean, I do think that's a great point because those 3 individual battles over the course of these playoffs kind of define the games.
Yeah, no, for sure, and it is, yeah, setting the tone in those important phases of the game. I mean, we actually saw it the other way a little bit against Ohio State, right? They came out and established. They had that drive at the end of the first half that they missed a field goal on, that started to get them going, and then they had the drive at the beginning of the second half to get the touchdown, and they got back in the game. And then, like you said, the Canes won the last 5 minutes of the game though and put it away. But yeah, that game's not competitive for the Canes to take care of either the end of the first half or the beginning of the second half. So yeah, no, it's important to establish those tones and get that momentum going and feeling good about yourselves. So yeah, that is that's going to be important. Well, Ladorus is fired up over here, my guy. He's got 6 interceptions this game. I think
considering we dropped 4 last game, maybe.
Yeah, we're due. They're gonna catch it this time. This is where DJ. This is where being comfortable in the stadium matters. They're so comfortable there. They're gonna catch it this time.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
Yeah, I do think the playmaking ability of the Canes secondary is underrated. The one that Ethan O'Connor dropped. Watch the range that Jacoby Thomas has on that play to get back and make a play on it, because he's actually the one who tipped it up. He had underneath coverage as a safety, and he got back. So Chambliss thought he had a touchdown. He threw it. He thought the safety was never going to get over there and make a play on the ball, and instead, Jacoby Thomas got all the way back there and tipped the ball that then O'Connor dropped. Those windows that look open aren't necessarily open against our defense, so that is a factor. I do think we'll deflect some passes, get our hands on some balls. We'll see if we catch them, but the secondary is much not just quicker, but Keontae got a lot of praise for this, justifiably so, for the pick 6 against Ohio State when he obviously, they're like, man, the film study for sure, because he knew the play was coming when the guy motioned out of the backfield and jumped it. All of these guys eat film, and you can see it because especially our safeties, recognize these plays so quickly, and they make so many plays on the balls that I think they'll get their, I don't know about 6 interceptions. I'll obviously take it, but I think they'll get their hands on some balls and have some opportunities here, just because I do think there are some holes in the secondary. Teams have been able to throw a little bit. Certainly Chambliss was, but I do think that secondary is very adept at kind of reading plays and making breaks on the ball, and so we'll see.
Yeah, and even if they don't, get the interceptions, just being able to disrupt the playmaking ability of these receivers, disrupt their timing, giving them a little, bump here and there on the way to their routes, anything to, again, and I've said this all week, but Indiana's very, very reliant on timing. So anything you can do to mess up the timing or the routes of the wide receivers and and therefore mess up Mendoza is a good thing. Getting back to Vish's point, the little things, I think, even if they kind of, give the wide receivers a hard time, maybe not get the interceptions, but the pass deflections, the bumps, playing with legal physicality, not stupid physicality where you get penalties, I think that's going to be really important too.
No, for sure. And yeah, this is where, thinking if the officials have a little bit of a, if they want to call it and not throw a lot of flags, that's where you got to get physical with their receivers. And like you said, disrupt the timing, especially when they're going to call you for it. And so grab and hold within, hold them at the line of scrimmage, push them, throw them off their timing, borderline illegal playing if they're not going to call it. Then
if they're not going to call it,
Yeah, you can get away with a lot pre-pass. And I think that's where, like you said, if it throws the timing off, they are a timing offense. All right, DJ, anything else you want to talk about in this game? Just for everyone's awareness, we don't have the exact time yet. There will be our 6 Rings Cane show tonight. So stay tuned for that on the network. Jazz will be on. Jazz has been out at all of the media events this week. There's a lot of great clips on our YouTube channel. Definitely hit the shorts button on the 5 Reasons Sports. He's got interviews with several of the players. The team bus arrived with Mario.
You got to meet Peter, Curve Street's dog.
Yeah. I met Herbie's dog. Interviewed Fowler and Herbie. So yeah, definitely check out several of the players. Like I said, so definitely check out our YouTube shorts. He's been posting clips from all of the media events. He's got it all covered. He will be on the show tonight. We're pretty sure DJ will be done with Patriots duty, so he'll also be on the show.
Sure.
Blue is in Orlando scouting because that's what Blue does, but he's going to try and hop on. So
he does more in 1 week than I do in 2
driving down
years.
from Orlando tomorrow to straight to the stadium. So but yeah, so that is all on deck tonight. So definitely we got much more to talk about here. So definitely stay tuned for that. DJ, anything else you want to talk about on the game before we kind of close with some portal news?
No, I'm just really excited for this game. I do think it's the two best teams playing for this game. It's crazy how we're gonna get booted out by Notre Dame, and then all of a sudden the committee changed their mind, and now we're here. And thankfully the committee wised up, and I'm glad that there was such a national push from you and from others to get Miami in the playoff, because I do think that made a huge difference.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was a it's hard to believe we're about a month and a half removed from this is complete crap. We beat them and we're not going to get into
we were filming a dooming show. We were dooming.
Yeah. Let's go win a championship. This is an exciting time. I think we're all high on Lenoris. I think.
Yeah,
I don't want to go overboard, but it does feel like this is written in the stars at this point. All of the if you go back through the last from the SMU game to now, and how we somehow ended up here, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
We'll see. Finish the job now. Again, we'll be back tonight with a lot more analysis. Jazz will have all of his updates from all of the media events. There was the joint press conference this morning as well, but with the Cristobal and Signetti. So lot to go through there. Jazz will have all of his updates from all of his various media coverage there. So he's been doing a great job out there. Someone asked earlier, heading out to the pep rally at the beach. You cannot pay me to go near the beach right now. It's got to be a zoo out there. But Jazz has been doing it. He's been fighting traffic. He's been getting out to the beach, getting downtown, and making it happen. So kudos to him for putting in the work. He was he drove past me when I was walking on campus yesterday, and someone started shouting my name out of a truck. I was like, "Hey, it's Jazz." He was at practice. Anyway, so I saw him vaguely out of his car. Anyway, appreciate all of you for joining us. We spun this up in the middle of the season. We have a pretty loyal following now on this show. It's really cool. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, no, it really is. Thank you, guys. I mean, who else would get up on Sunday morning to watch us? Apparently all of you, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, no, appreciation is all this way your direction. All right, DJ. The Canes not officially have a quarterback, but I think we all know who the quarterback is going to be next year now. What are your thoughts on Mensa from Duke, who hopped in the portal at the 11th hour, and everyone's almost 100% sure that was to be Miami's quarterback next season?
The Miami Hurricanes are in the national championship game, stealing the quarterback from a coach who was fired by Miami. And now his replacement is going to hopefully become a national championship winning coach. I mean, it's just perfect. It's perfect. You steal the former coach's quarterback. The coach who is in the national championship game is probably going to land Mensa, and it's just perfect. It's perfect all the way around. And when we used to preview Duke, and when we have previewed Duke, one of the players we were like, this team's kind of meh, but Mensa's really good. So I think he'd be really, really interesting in this offense. And the one thing I will say about Dawson is that he's been completely able to adapt schemes from the more pocket passing style of Carson Beck to the kind of run and gun type of style from Cam Ward the year before. He's been able to synchronize kind of the offenses to fit his quarterback. So I think Mensa, I'll be very interested to see what Dawson does with Mensa.
Yeah, no, it is.
It's just so perfect that they're stealing him from Duke. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also just, again, I think we were talking about this. Shout out to Mohammed. Oh, not only regular viewer and listener, but regular donator.
What's up,
appreciate you, Mohammed. Yeah, I mean, again, you keep saying extend Mario. He's under contract for a long time, and frankly,
and even when they don't extend him, I don't think.
He can name a number and however many years and just put it down, and we'll sign it. I don't think there's any kind of issue.
He's not on the hot seat.
Yeah, on Mensa, I think it goes to show once again, third year in a row. This is the third year in a row we panicked about quarterback and then went in there and pulled someone that's more than capable of winning everything. And so, which is again what you're looking for. They won't necessarily everyone be Cam Ward and wow, it's the number one pick. Number one pick in the draft. But what you're looking for is someone that's capable of winning you a championship, and this is the third year in a row But they've done that and done it late in the cycle with everyone panicking around them. I think, again, Mario always has a plan. And this is one of the things I've talked about a lot, not just in relation to quarterback, but the way he recruits. He's excellent at recruiting and convincing guys to come here. And I know NIL plays a role in that, but he did that at Oregon. He's done that everywhere he's been. It's not just here. He's excellent at that. But the underrated part of what he does, and the Canes benefit immensely from, is his roster construction. He does not just go and get, oh, that's the best receiver, let me get him. Does he fit into my plan? Does he fit into my depth chart? Mm-hmm. How do I grow the depth in the right places? Do we put the resources in the right thing? And across the board, he has done that at every position. And the quarterback is just an extension of that. He's always got plans A's, B's, and C's, and you can see them fall into place. Oh, we missed on this guy. The next guy joins, right? And you can see him doing that. Now, obviously, like they made a big push for Ty Simpson. It did not work. I believe strongly the whole time as this portal window was unfolding, they knew they could get Mensa. And so that was the plan B. And when it got to the end of the portal window, they said, go ahead and enter and come play quarterback for Miami. And so I think that is something he's elite at. And he doesn't get enough credit for. He's a great recruiter, but what does that actually mean? It's not just getting raw talent in there. It's not just highly ranked recruiting classes. It is building depth and consistency and guys that fit your overall roster construction, your team. That's what's elevated the program to this level that's at right now. And again, he did it with quarterback, but he does it with every position. We look at who they get in the portal. It's not always the highest rated guy in the portal, but they always fit really well. And he's very good at doing that. This guy will fit into what we're doing. He fits into the depth chart. They address a need. Otherwise, we move on to the next guy. And I think that part of it is very underrated. And that is what he's done at quarterback for the third year in a row now. It's just like, all right,
it's a very hard position to evaluate as far as transfer portal quarterbacks are concerned, and whether or not they fit into your system. And sometimes it doesn't work. And Mario has made it look really easy. And I am really intrigued by Mensa. And I know people were concerned about what it means for the development of Nickel and and the other quarterbacks in the room, Coleman. So what do you view? Like, how do you think this shapes the development for the rest of the guys? Do you think we'll see, a guy in the portal or?
Well, I mean, look, Emory Williams and Judd Anderson, if they want to actually play somewhere, they were going to have to portal, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't think we were ever going to go into a season and say, hey, Emory or Judd, this is your job. So I think they kind of knew that. Now, look, right now, Emory could potentially play in a national championship game. So, that's why he stuck around. But I don't think he would have been ahead of Nickel and Coleman on the depth chart next year anyway. Mm-hmm. So even without this, I think if he wants to play somewhere, and I did hear of a school that's potentially interested in him, but in the AAC, which I think he will probably go to. And he'll start there. And I think that's what he wants to. I mean, Judd was never. I mean, Emory, as much as Emory was like never really a plan A, like, oh, let's build a program guy. Judd was, I think, always just a depth player. I don't think he ever had any delusion that he would be the quarterback here. So whether or not he's okay with that or not, I don't know. But I would expect Emory to portal, and I think Coleman and Nickel will battle it out for the backup spot behind Mensa. And then next year, I actually don't think next offseason, I don't think we'll go in the portal. I think it'll be one of those two guys.
Yeah, because by then, in theory, you would have another year of a developed.
Yeah, and look, we are, and maybe this is a strategic decision, but we are probably a year away from never having a high school quarterback that's elite sign with us if we go portal over the top of Nickel and Coleman. Because I think the difference between what we've been doing and what we would be doing in that case is Emory was never an elite recruit. He was always a developmental guy. He wasn't like I can go to any school I want type of guy. No knock on him, but that's just the reality. He was
no. I get what you're saying, yeah.
So getting Cam Ward, I mean, it's Cam Ward too, but getting Cam Ward or Carson back and saying, we don't really have a great option to start. makes more sense. And even next year, Nickel, I think, took like 1 or 2 snaps this year. Obviously, Coleman just got on campus. So it's totally reasonable to say they're not ready to start yet, so we got Mensa. Now, if you get into, okay, now they've been on campus 2 years and Nickel's still not ready to play, if you just keep getting portal guys, I think they will eventually have to portal to get playing time. And I think any high school quarterback would look at us and say, well, they're not going to let me play. They're just going to keep getting portal guys on top of me. So, which is not necessarily a problem if you keep getting elite quarterback play. But if you're talking about developing in-house, I do think not 2026, but 2027, you got to give Nickel or Coleman a shot. You got to let them battle it out. Whoever wins the job wins the job. But you've got to give them a shot, or it'll be very hard to recruit quarterbacks down the road that are at that level. Because again, these are two. Pick a school, you can go there, kids. They both chose Miami, so I think if they can't get a shot like 3 years in, it's like, okay, they're just always going to want a veteran quarterback. So there's no point in a freshman coming here.
Well, it's really interesting because I think this is a problem around college football too. Even the lower, level teams, or the teams that aren't as good as Miami, which is pretty much all of them. But you got what I'm saying, like the lower teams, they have trouble keeping full quarterback rooms because everybody wants playing time, and there's only so many snaps to go around. So I think the quarterback position truly is kind of like a year-to-year thing across college football now, especially with the transfer portal.
Okay, so no, for sure, and I think, if the Canes just become the team that just goes into the portal every year, then that's what they are. I mean, I don't, but I think you're just gonna have to get used to the idea of like elite high school recruits saying, probably not a good place for me to. Maybe I'll end up there eventually, but not to start with. But I do think, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think, after a year, Coleman will have had a year in the program. Nickel will have had 2 years. I think
these guys are really good. So
no, these are elite recruits. So I think they'll get a shot to be the starter in 2027. Probably a good note to end on here from Cane Lake, just to getting a little nostalgic from where the Canes are right now. We talked about this a little bit on the show Monday because Jazz and I actually watched that. So on the same day, or within I think it was the exact same day, but around the same time, we played. This is 2 years ago, as Cane Lake's time frame. We were playing. I think this was actually December 23, technically, because the bowl game was a little bit earlier. But we were sitting there losing to Rutgers on a baseball diamond with Jakari Brown playing quarterback. And looking like he couldn't, really couldn't play, throw, and the number of transfers since then have reinforced that. But probably not, a high level FPS thrower of the football. And around that, I think it was the same day. I might have a false memory there, but Cam Ward released his "I'm going to the NFL" video.
That was the same day because I remember talking to you guys on Twitter and being like, "Oh shit, Cam Ward is going to the."
So that all happened on the same time, and so we lost to Rutgers. Obviously, we're sitting there, and I remember because I watched the game with Jazz at his house, and then we did a show across the table from each other. And I think DJ, you were remote on that.
I was,
and so we're sitting there, and we're like, "This program is." We just lost to Rutgers in a baseball diamond. We don't have a quarterback. Where's this program going? And then, as Cane Lake says, 2 years later, this is where this program was going, to the national championship game. Unbelievable, remarkable.
Absolutely, and a lot of really good luck too, especially with the portal quarterbacks and the way some of these recruits came to Miami. A lot of really good recruiting by the staff.
This is something I said to actually on Flo's show at the beginning of the year. He had me on for a segment. And I think it reigns true. Cam Ward did not win a championship here, but he set the program up to win championships. Without him putting this team in the conversation last year and driving, he's in New York at the Heisman ceremony. He won games by himself multiple times to get to that 10-win situation. Obviously, the defense was awful, but he elevated the program on the field. I think Mario, to Muhammad's point, Mario has been, and we've seen it, right? And Blues talked about, it's night and day difference, the depth, the quality of athlete. You've seen it. but it hadn't shown up in results yet. And Cam Ward made it show up in the results. And that elevated the program. And that's why this year, look at all the portal players and young players making an impact this year. That is because Cam Ward chose to come here, and he's not going to be on when this team wins on Monday, and they are going to win on Monday. He's not going to get a ring, but he is largely responsible for this program being where it is. And I made the analogy back to Jim Kelly going to Miami in the early 80s, made Miami a legitimate, hey, wait, you can go there and win. Bernie Kosar was the quarterback that won that first championship, but you don't get there unless Jim Kelly went there first. And I think Cam Ward's in the same boat. I think he set this program up to where, okay, this team is nationally relevant now. You can win there, and then we're seeing that pay off this year. And obviously, most of the credit should go to Mario Cristobal, his vision and his. I mean, we are playing Mario Cristobal football. I mean, we are. Yep. That is what we're playing. This is Mario Cristobal football, so definitely full credit to him as well. But I think, Cam Ward changed this program, because if you go back to where we're sitting there after losing to Rutgers, this program looked lost, and Cam Ward changed the program. And now tomorrow we're going to win the championship, no doubt. We're going to win that thing. This team is winning. Anyway, we will be back tonight. And don't know the time yet, so stay tuned. We'll tweet out. I'll tweet out. Follow me on Twitter, VRP2003. Follow at Six Rings Canes. At Jazz should be out at the games. So at the media stuff. Actually, I don't know there's like a party today. I don't know if he's actually going to that, but there's media events today. But we will. I'll
shoot him a text to make sure he's well enough for the.
No, he's gonna be at my house, so I'm gonna get him liquored up. So it should be.
I'll still shoot him a text. I'll shoot both of you a text.
There's a party at my house. Yeah, no, there will be a show tonight. I will be able to work a mouse to get the stream spun up. So stay tuned. We'll do a show announcement time.
If I have to produce, I have before.
We have Blue coming in. Blue should be coming in from Orlando, where he's been doing scouting events. But Jazz will be with me in person. DJ will be remote. Gonna have the full show tonight. Obviously, tomorrow night, not a good night to do the show, so we'll do it tonight.
There's something tomorrow, really?
We'll do it. There's something else going on tomorrow night. I don't know what it is, but we'll do the show tonight. So definitely stay tuned to that in the network. Thanks all of you for hopping in with us on a Sunday morning.
A lot of people today.
Yeah, we'll be back again tonight. DJ, as always, thanks for hanging out with me on a Sunday morning. We'll be here tonight again to talk more about this big championship game coming up.
All righty.
And as always, go Canes.
Go Canes.